What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sideline Sports. I'm Trevor, your host, co-host Alex. Today we're talking Niners. It is Monday, and we have a few things to talk about. First thing hot off the press is Kyle Shanahan hiring his offensive coordinator without going through the NFL policies for opening up the job. So he got spanked a little bit for that. Um, I'm not sure what's going to come out of that. He may get fined a little bit, but they are reopening the OC coordinator position to anybody else who wants to apply. Um, that's not going to go anywhere, I don't think. But it would be nice to see Kubiak help out with a little bit of the play calling and take some of that stress off of Shanahan's shoulders because we know that he's basically got a lot to deal with and he's calling his own plays. So, what do you think, Alex? Maybe not a bad idea having an offensive coordinator come in and help call some plays?
I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, I don't think that Shanahan shouldn't have any say because that's the reason you hired him as a head coach is that he's a brilliant offensive mind. I think maybe if he hands off certain aspects, like I don't know what it is that's stale or burning out with him. Like maybe he has a red zone guy and he's just like big plays because like it seems like if the big plays in the middle of the field develop into a touchdown, great. And then they get closer and it ground to a halt. That it could also be that there's, half the team missing or dead,
Yeah.
um, which is not a great way to do it. But he may just be, I want to see both, I want to oversee things, eye in the sky, kind of, figuratively to be on the field.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing to maybe bring in somebody who might have a specialty that Shanahan's getting stale in or burnt out on.
Sure, and it's okay to bounce things. I mean, I have no problem with somebody coming in and bouncing some play ideas, play calls off of Shanahan. You never know. He is still a great play caller. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, maybe he is burnt out a little bit. Maybe he's getting figured out a little bit. Maybe he needs to reinvent himself. So
Yeah.
not such a bad idea to have somebody come in and work with him and kind of just be there, kind of just on his right shoulder, and maybe if they see something or maybe there's a play they want to throw out, maybe, you know, we'll see. Or maybe they get to call, maybe Kubiak gets to call a game or two, or who knows how that's going to work out. I don't fully believe Shanahan's handing the keys over to Kubiak to call the offensive plays next year completely. I don't see that happening, but I do see a collaboration there for sure.
Yeah, I think it could also be like they would be like, did he lose the locker room? I don't think he's lost the locker room. I don't think so because I don't think the players would think that Arando would be a better coach. What I do think is maybe if he's, what is his eighth year? I always think it's like his third or fourth year, which is like crazy.
Yeah,
But
he's
maybe
been there
that's
for a
that.
while.
Maybe that's a good thing for Shanahan, where he still seems so fresh. Like I don't think he's stale as a coach, as the Niners coach. I'm like,
No.
man, didn't he just get started? Shouldn't he be able to finish what he started? Aren't we always that close? It seems I'm not over him, but maybe the players need, as he's 8 years removed from, just starting off and being like, the fresh faced young kid,
Yep.
so to speak, wonderkind, maybe a younger OC to talk to the players about certain things, to translate Shanahanisms, like,
Exactly.
or
It's just like having a manager at work, right? You don't
yeah,
want to maybe go out and talk to that manager about everything. Maybe you're going to talk to a lead or something like that. So,
yeah,
totally agree with you how the players could probably benefit from having somebody else in the room or somebody
yeah,
else to go to. Um, I mean, that's what happened with Mike Brown with the Warriors when he was the assistant coach to Steve Kerr. A lot of the
yeah.
players liked going to him and talking to him because he was that guy. And maybe the Niners need a little bit of that. But this is a league where you have to adapt year after year and it's evolving and you have to evolve with it or die. So it's a smart move to have Shanahan maybe have some fresh blood come in, take a look, help draw up some plays, help run the offense a little bit. Not a bad idea. So definitely Kubiak will be that guy after they've reopened the job and they've done all
Yeah.
the interviewing and stuff that they need to fill those requirements.
Reopened.
hmm And
And
then
it's a sign of
so,
humility. It's a sign, it's a good sign from him. Like if someone's saying that there was some article saying like he needs to take accountability if he's firing these other people. Well,
yeah.
if he's going to hire an OC, that is him admitting, listen, I need some help. I didn't
Hmm.
do as great a job as I wanted to. I need a fresh pair of eyes. It doesn't mean that he's, should remove himself from the situation, but maybe that guy could push back on 10 or 20% of the plays that are stale and be like, we should try this. Because a
Yeah.
lot of it, the fact that Mason did so well, the fact that Garendo did so well is a credit to them, but it's also a credit to Shanahan. So some of his stuff is still working. That Shanahan genetics of being able to make anyone a star running back is still there.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
he may just need help communicating with like maybe the receivers or whatever, or some little issue with like, hey, Brock Purdy, try this. Oh, hey, cool. In a way that Shanahan wasn't able to reach him. Maybe,
Mhm.
and I don't know if Kubiak's younger, but maybe somebody fresher faced in terms of their idea of their experiences in OC might get his ideas to the guys. It's like a filter. Maybe it'll
Maybe.
filter in a way that they
Yeah.
understand.
I do think Shanahan is quite a bit of a quarterback whisperer, so I think maybe at that position he still will have a pretty tight grip on what's going on. But I agree with you that overall it's best to have somebody come in that's new and help work with the offense. I think, and again, everybody injured last year. It just amplified everything 110%. So when everybody's healthy next year, those problems won't rear their ugly heads quite as much, but they need to do something to make that offense a little bit more dynamic. Totally agree with you on that. And so moving over to the defensive side of the ball, we know Sorensen's out. I'm kind of glad that he is. I didn't think that he meshed well with these players. He may very well be a good defensive coordinator or a head coach in the league somewhere. It just didn't work out with the Niners. So he's out. The Niners have interviewed Saleh. We know we want Robert Saleh back. And he hasn't been hired with the Niners yet, but I think it's highly likely. He has two interviews coming up, one with the Jags, one with supposedly there's a second team out there. I'm guessing it's the Raiders. That's what it sounds like anyway. If he doesn't get either one of those, I believe he'll be back with the Niners. My thought is the Jags have a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. They need somebody who really knows quarterbacks offense very well to bring him along because he's been in the league 3 years now, I think. About 3 years, or maybe this is his fourth year. Either way, he hasn't progressed to that point where they're winning playoff games, and he went number one in the draft. I don't think Saleh, defensive mind, is the guy that the Jags are going to bring in to help bring along Trevor Lawrence. Doesn't make really a lot of sense. So I don't think he's getting that job. The Raiders, same kind of situation. They have no real quarterback right now, and they need offense. So he's not offensive minded. So what do you think the chances are the Niners actually bring back Robert Saleh? I think pretty good.
I think pretty good because he rebuilt the Jets defense, and that was good, but he did not get them to even 500, it doesn't seem.
Yeah.
And I think if you go to the Niners and you're looking at your solid, you're like, okay, if everyone comes back healthy and plays like they did before on the offensive side of the ball, I'm going to have a good time. And especially if you get back, Greenlaw, Hufanga might be on his way out. He might go for, but
He
you
might.
look at it and you go, okay, I'm going to have some good pieces. I know how to use these pieces because I've done it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to get a butt ton of offensive guys who are going to give me a lead. If things go the way it is,
Yeah.
or I could rebuild the Jags, or I could rebuild the Raiders, and maybe not get the money I want or the control I want. But
Yeah.
if he parks himself with the Niners and wins a Super Bowl or two, or gets that contention, he drives his stock back up. With time between that Jets debacle, I mean, I know people are going to give him a pass because the Jets are the Jets,
Yeah.
but he is, he was at the helm, and that
Mm-hmm.
will ding him for the
Yes.
head coaching job. Or he could park himself with the 49ers for a couple of years and then
I
perhaps
think
have a
that's a
ring
good
or two on his
idea.
resume
Yep.
and get you know, a better job where, the
He
offense is
might get a second
distribution.
chance with a better team.
Yeah.
Going and trying to take that job, if the Jags were to offer it to him, which again, I really don't think it's going to happen. But if he were to take that job, he's being set up for failure because that team is just not. The Jags are like the Jets. They're just not built to win. They have a great quarterback who may not even be there if he just demands a trade if things just go south. But that's a bad situation to jump into if you're Saleh. I think that's not set up to win. I don't think the Raiders are ever set up to win just because the way the ownership is run. Those are two teams I would stay away from, probably. Maybe the Raiders I would go for, but he is not. If he knows what he's good at, and I believe he does, he's not offensive minded. So if he's going to take those jobs, he needs somebody offensive minded that can come in and be very strong to run those offenses. Maybe he'll do that. I just don't think that those teams are going to offer those jobs, those positions to him. And I think that it's best for him, like you said, let it cool down, come in, be the defensive coordinator for 2 or 3 more years, and then maybe look outside and see if you want to do that. But he is a better defensive coordinator today than he is a head coach. There's no doubt about it in my mind. And coming back and taking over the Niners defense is exactly, I think, what needs to happen. And I think he wants to come back. I think it's just a formality to interview with those other jobs. I mean, it could be wrong. Could be wrong. Maybe the Jags will offer it to him, or maybe the Raiders will. Those are the only two teams I've heard of. Um, but they're looking to improve quickly, both those teams, because they have the talent on the team. They need a head coach that is been there, done that very well. Um, I don't think it's Saleh yet. So I do think he's back with the Niners. And so I'm excited about that. I think that's exactly what the Niners need. They need the energy. They need that coach on the sidelines that is just and remember, Sorensen wasn't even on the sidelines for most of the games. He was actually calling the defensive plays from the booth. That doesn't work with this defense. They didn't respond well to that. So
It was very vanilla. I mean, and I know because of the injuries and stuff, but still, I actually, like I said, I liked D'Amico Ryan's better than Salah
mhm.
slightly because I felt he had a little more balance throughout.
Yeah,
But Salah got them to a Super Bowl as well. It's splitting hairs.
it is.
And
You
D'Amico
couldn't get well.
Ryan's
You can't go
well
get
deserved.
D'Amico Ryan's because he is in the playoffs winning right now. So that guy's not going to come up anytime soon.
No, no, no. He got his well deserved head coaching job.
Yep.
It was like one thing sad to see him go, but you absolutely his job with the defense was why we lost him so quickly. He
Yeah, yeah.
did too good a job. He was,
He was going to be a
it
good head coach. It just felt like he was going to be.
was great. Yeah,
I could have said the same thing about Saleh, but there's something about Saleh in my mind when I see him and how he coaches. He's a defensive guy.
yeah.
That's who he is. He's a defensive coordinator.
He's a
So
little more rah-rah. And I
yeah,
think
he is a
rah-rah
little
works as
more.
a coordinator. As a head coach, it burns people out. Like Harbaugh burned people out. Mike
Yeah.
Ditka burned people out. Like it works for a little bit, but you got to have a little balance to it. And I'm not saying that he's a hothead. I'm just saying the way he coaches. But defensive guys, like they want to get pumped. Yeah, like not on the sideline. Like you said, that personal, he has a connection with the guys. He still looks like he could play. I mean, the guy's, jacked. Like
Yeah,
he's
100%.
uh I would say it would quiet down my concerns. I'd be like, oh, cool, that's taken care of. Now we
Yes.
just need to do, a number of things, but I almost wouldn't even think we would need to do as much with the
I
pieces. I mean,
kind of
obviously,
feel the way you do because those players will respond to him more. They
yeah,
know him and he knows how to use them. I'm not. I'm still on the train of we need another defensive and offensive lineman, but you're right. You probably get more out of those players and that defense was solid than you do anybody else since he's been
yeah.
there and done that with those guys. They know him. Totally agree. If that happens, I'll feel way better about the defense.
I
Yes.
would still like you said, we still would probably need to address the D line, but it would feel like if you have him, he would use what he has better than what had been done before. And like I believe he would have done a better job with what he had this year.
Yep.
I just have that feeling because I just think that he is that guy. And then it might be more like, oh, okay, if he can get these guys to overperform or perform to where they need to be, then do you just throw everything on the O line, and then that gives him more points to work with, and he doesn't
I
need as
don't
many
know
good,
because they allowed a lot of points, man. The Niners lost games like 30 to
right.
35. I mean, I
We're
they
also missed
need
like
they
eight
really
field
need
goals.
both sides. They need offense and defensive linemen. There's no way around it.
But I'll
I
pose you
would
this
rather
question,
go for the offensive lineman first because you want to
right?
protect the quarterback you're about to sign for $65 million or
And
whatever.
that's why I think they'll do that. You get
Yeah.
Salah, you're like, okay, you sort of address those concerns because he'll get everybody to play. If he gets the pieces he has to play 10% better, what does that equate to? If
Yeah.
you solve special teams where it's get a kicker who doesn't miss like half his field goals in the
That
second
should be
half of the
easier
year.
to accomplish, though. We should be able to get a kicker that doesn't miss
Right.
too
So
much.
I'm wondering if they go, okay, we get Saleh and we get a kicker who doesn't miss as much, and we get a special teams coordinator who knows how which leg to put put in verse,
Yeah.
how to put his pants on the right way.
Yeah.
Do then we throw everything in the O line because we're going to pay Purdy. I agree. In a perfect world, you would want to upgrade the D line, but Saleh might be that upgrade. He could be an
Yeah.
overall general medicine to
Yeah.
as a solution.
I agree to a certain extent with you. I
Yeah,
do
I'm
agree.
saying if
We
money
need more
wise,
help.
if we just don't have the money, on paper, yes, I 100% agree with you. We need to upgrade the D line.
Yeah.
But if you can only allot certain number with the salary cap or certain guys leave, Salah might be your band-aid to cover it up,
100%.
you know.
Yep. 100%. I agree with you. 100%. He is going to be an upgrade for the defense without actually getting a defensive player. No doubt about it. They are going to be a lot better next year. I think teams are going to, and the Niners, I just heard, have the third easiest schedule in all of the NFL next year. I've mentioned how easy their schedule is. Hearing it and realizing just how easy that schedule is going to be next year, this team fully healthy, they're going to be good and they're going to look good against a lot of these teams. They're going to take the division. I have a feeling. I think there's a chip on their shoulder from the way this year went down, the way they look, even though it does come down to the fact that there's a lot of injuries, but there was other things that could have saved that season as well. Bottom line, I think they're going to come back strong. They're going to have a full off season to work. And this is something they haven't had in 4 or 5 years, guys, because they've been in the playoffs every single year and they've been into the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl 2 or 4 out of those 5 years. So this is the first year they're actually getting a full offseason to rest, to work out, to train, to get right back into it. And man, they're going to be ready. I feel like they're going to be ready. So,
And
yeah.
it's good that they didn't make the playoffs in a way because like if they were one and done and they got bounced, do
Yeah.
they do they make the changes we know they need? They would still need to make the same changes because I still think that,
Yeah. They
it,
have to, but they'll have a shorter leash at that point, and they'll be dropping down in the draft. So then they don't have the number 11 to pick. Now you're talking
yep,
about having maybe the number 14 or 15 pick, or who knows? If they get bounced in the first round, they're still looking at like what, 13? So
yeah,
they're much better off not making the playoffs. When it was clear they didn't have the team to win the Super Bowl,
right.
me, it was clear to I don't want to see a team tank, but watching them lose at the end was kind of good so that they can get that draft pick. I didn't want to see them go out on a bad note, but this team's got enough personalities along with it. They're going
Yeah.
to be just fine. They're going to be just fine.
Well, and maybe they don't say they make the playoffs as a wild card and they get bounced and they make changes, but they don't make the changes the way as they don't really take a hard look because they're like,
True.
Sorensen was kind of garbage, but we did get to the playoffs with him
Yeah.
and we'll keep him another year. Like maybe
Yep.
they don't go after Salah because they're like, well, we did get to the playoffs and Sorensen is on the team. So ergo, ipso facto, he is good. No, he's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
See, that's why I don't want to make the playoffs. It's like,
You're right.
well, the special teams was hot garbage, but we did make the playoffs, so maybe that was because of the special teams coach. It's like,
Yeah.
no,
Or maybe
maybe
they
you,
weren't as bad as we thought, or maybe
yeah,
we could live with the fact that they are garbage.
it would mask it, yeah.
Yeah, it would
And
mask it.
I'm
They would say we could live with this
exactly.
special teams and
I want to
garbage
blow it up right
defense. It
now.
wasn't
Is
garbage
it-
defense, but it was pretty bad, and it was pretty bad because of injuries and bad play. I mean, yes, the best
Yeah,
thing that could have happened is for them to lose those games and just rip the band-aid off all this crap that is making this team bad, which is really not a lot, but special teams needs to be completely revamped.
yep,
Right. We need a kicker that can kick a field goal decently. And we need a new defensive coordinator and we need an offensive line. And we need some defensive linemen too, but more offensive line to protect the quarterback. Lots of things that they're going to have to get to this offseason. Luckily, they have the time. Luckily, they got the personnel that can get it done. And so we'll see how it goes and we'll track it into next week. And next Monday, we'll see you guys right back here for another Niner podcast. Tomorrow is San Francisco Giants. 11:30 is when I'll be doing the recording of the podcast. You can catch it on YouTube anytime after that. So Alex and I will be back here 11:30 to talk San Francisco Giants, see what's new this week with them. And thank you for the support. And hit the like and hit the subscribe again, guys. Hit the bell notification. That'll let you know when this video is uploaded and you can watch it. And we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.